We have breaking news. The State and Treasury Departments are rolling out sanctions on Iranian shadow fleets. Both departments say in a release 30 individuals, entities, and vessels will be impacted. Meanwhile, Iranian state TV released video showing Iran's Revolutionary Guard holding military drills. Now Iran's president says the country has a positive outlook on talks tomorrow and hopes to move beyond this neither war nor peace situation. ABC News foreign correspondent Patrick Revel's here with more. Patrick, what's the latest on these sanctions?
Hi, Dan. Yeah, just in the last little while, the Treasury Department has said that it is rolling out this new wave of sanctions against Iran, targeting its shadow fleet, the fleet of tankers that it uses basically to smuggle oil as well as sometimes weapons, and also going after an arms network connected to Iran. Apparently, it's targeting over 30 ships and other entities, some also in Turkey and some in the UAE. I think the timing of this is interesting. It comes a day before, obviously, the next round of talks in Geneva. Clearly, the US is trying to put as much pressure as possible on Iran ahead of these talks. But ultimately, of course, Iran is already extremely heavily sanctioned and has for years managed to continue. Iran's economy, it has been struggling very heavily, which is part of the reason we saw those big protests in January. But ultimately, I think the key thing here is still this huge military buildup ahead of these talks, and whether we will see some kind of deal that can be reached between the US and Iran, or if President Trump ultimately is going to move towards military action, Diane.
Patrick, President Trump reiterated that the U.S. strikes last summer obliterated Iran's nuclear weapons program. But he's also now warning that Iran has already developed missiles that threaten Europe and will soon reach the U.S. How are Iranian officials reacting to those comments?
Yeah, Dan, I mean, the reaction that we've heard from the Iranians has been pretty fiery. They've said that it's a lie. They said that President Trump was just pushing the big lie around its efforts to attain a nuclear weapon. They deny that they're trying to get a nuclear weapon. They say they just want to have a peaceful nuclear program. It should be said as well that Iran does have long-range missiles that have a range of about 2,000 kilometers, but there's no real evidence that they're close to developing one that could reach the United States. I think, though, also what people are really looking at ahead of these talks is whether there can be some kind of breakthrough. But I think there's a great deal of doubt around that. People ultimately see a big gap between the US and Iran on this, because ultimately Iran denies it's trying to develop a nuclear program, a weapons program. We also know that the US is pushing for Iran to give up its long-range missile capabilities, something that is very unlikely to happen. So I think going into these talks tomorrow, there is little expectation of a deal, Diane.
All right, Patrick Revel, thank you.